Dr. Nirenberg's Mind Body Workout System.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure and an honor to be in your presence and have the opportunity to share with you very vital and important information and knowledge and inspirations. It's a privilege to be here in the room with you and to be in the presence of those of you also watching on DVD and those listening on CD. Thank you for being here. The title of today's lecture is called Blood, Channels of Resurging and Longevity Blood Tests. So there's a subtitle to the subtitle. Blood, Channels of Resurging and Longevity Blood Tests. I'm going to be talking about the function of the blood, what's carried in the blood, and then blood tests and what the blood tests mean. I'm going to particularly make a distinction between a normal range in your blood test versus optimal. Make a big distinction between normal, being within a normal range, versus optimal. And you always want to go for optimal. And I'm going to give you information also as to how to put some of those markers in an optimal range. Not just normal, but optimal. And in doing so, I've kept my blood workups for the past 20 years. So that's the first thing I want to suggest. First thing I want to suggest. Whenever you have a blood test, and you want to get them at least once a year, as you get older you might need it more often, and you want to save them, you ask for the results. I have the results of years and years of blood workups. Very important. Why? You want to get a baseline. Because then if there's a change, you know there's something you need to look at. For example, let me talk about men for a moment. Men typically start getting the PSA readings, which is a marker for prostate cancer. Start getting those maybe age 40, get those regularly. Now let's say a man, you're getting your baseline and you see every year your PSA is 0.5, and it's good. Normal. Let's say a man's PSA, you see each year it's a 1. It was always a 1. That's good. And let's say man has a 1, his PSA is 1, 1, 1, each year comes in 1. Then one year it's a 2. Well, it's still normal range. So if you just look at that 2, say, well, it's no problem. So if the doctor didn't see the 1, and usually they don't look at past ones, and if you had it, you probably don't even remember. As a matter of fact, your doctor probably didn't even give you the numbers. He probably just told you everything's fine. Yeah, that's what the patients hear. Oh, everything's fine. They don't even know. Don't settle for that. Do not settle for everything's fine. Always get your printout and save it. An absolute must. So here's an example where it could be life-endangering not to. So for a man, in a man's case, he's always had a 1. Now all of a sudden it's a 2. It's still normal range. It's below 5. It's fine. But it doubled in 1 year. See, that could be, he might have prostate cancer. So it's not just the absolute number, it's the change. Or let's take thyroid functioning, which applies, more women have more thyroid problems than men, but men have it as well, including myself. Let's say the normal range is 0.5 to 5. But we know that the optimal range is 0.2 to 2. So by keeping track, let's say you are having 1, a TSH of 1. No problem. Then a couple of years go by, you get a blood test, and it's a 3. Normal range. The doctor's not going to say anything. He says, oh, everything's fine. It's not. It went up from 1 to a 3. Could be the beginning of a thyroid problem. You might have Hashimoto's disease, or you might need certain food supplements. You may be in poor health. If it's a Hashimoto's disease, it could be a problem. That's where it's an autoimmune disease where you start to lose your thyroid. Went from a 1 to a 3. So what did the doctor tell you? Everything's fine. It's not fine. And he probably didn't compare it to the other one. It's not fine. Now, for your thyroid health, if you start seeing it's changing in a way that's negative, you want to get your iodine up. Usually, there's an iodine deficiency, and you want the amino acid L-tyrosine. L-tyrosine. Those are two that are very good for your health. The iodine source could be iodized salt. You can get kelp, or you can be eating crabs, lobster, and shrimp. You can also get iodine that way. Or seaweed, but you want to be getting your iodine. It's good to just do for your thyroid, period. Now let's take a look. There's a lot of proteins and oxygen and glucose and fatty acids floating in your bloodstream. Your bloodstream is carrying nutrients to your muscles, to your brain cells, to all your organs. It's the highway of life. It's pulsating and resurging with life. It's a highway of life of your arteries, your veins, your bloodstream. It's carrying oxygen. Without oxygen, your brain can't survive very much. A few minutes. Your heart can't survive. That's what a heart attack is. It's not getting oxygen. You get damage to the heart muscles, or the heart dies and you're dead. The brain starts going first. You need the oxygen being carried. One thing you should ask the doctor, it's not in the blood test, you want to know your oxygenation level. They put a little something on your fingers, and it'll measure your oxygenation level. How fully saturated is your oxygen? It'll just take 30 seconds. If you don't ask for it, typically they won't take it. You want that oxygenation to be above 94. So let's say you've been 100, 99, 100. Then you're going to be 96. You say, well, gee, it's going down. So 96 is nothing to worry about, but why did it go down? If the next time it's still 95 or 94, something's starting to go wrong. But if it might come right back up. So you want your oxygenation level. You just put a little thing. It's not invasive at all. You just put it right on your finger, and it reads the oxygen saturation. You want to know. They always take your blood pressure, and they take your temperature. That's standard. And your blood pressure, the optimal blood pressure is 115 over 75. 115 over 75 is optimal. Now, if you're 125 over 80, they might say it's no problem. But there is. You want it 115 over 75 or less. Now, if you're 130 over 80, you're not going to have a heart attack or stroke. That's not a heart attack or stroke level. It's if you get 190 over 110, you're looking at potentially heart attack or stroke. But what happens when you have borderline or high normal blood pressure, you could be getting damage to your end organ damage, to your vision and to your kidney. So remember the term end organ damage. When your blood pressure is not optimal, you're more prone to end organ damage. If your pulse rate is over 70, statistically, people have a shorter lifespan than if it's under 70. And one way to get it lower is you could be taking hawthorn berry, or doing cardiovascular workouts. You want to get it in the 50s or low 60s. You want to get your pulse rate lower. If it's in the 70s or 80s, you could have, statistically speaking, you're more likely to have an issue. So let's look at what it's carrying. Your blood is carrying the amino acids to give to the muscles, oxygen that all your cells need, glucose that your muscles need, your nerve, everything in your body, all the organs need that. For the mitochondria, it's burned in the mitochondria. It's carrying also fatty acids in terms of triglycerides. We're going to talk about triglycerides. It's also carrying your testosterone, your free testosterone, estrogen. So all has been carried. All this is being carried. Your progesterone, everything's being carried in there. The electrolytes, your calcium, magnesium, sodium. It's all being carried in your blood. And so when they take a blood result, they put the needle into the artery, typically right around here, and take out the bottles of this. They're reading all of that. They're also measuring sugar. So let's talk about the sugar range, your glucose level, fasting glucose level. You'll be fasting. You'll get your blood test, but they particularly want to know your fasting glucose level. You want to ask for that. You want to know your glucose level. Now, if it's under 100, they'll say that's normal. If it's over 125, they say officially you have diabetes. But here's the thing what I'm going to tell you right now. Do not be satisfied with 100 or 95. Say it's 95. So they'll say your blood results were fine. It's not fine. The optimal glucose reading is 74. Optimal range, if you get between 80 and 85, is good. If it's over 85, you're more likely to have blood sugar damage to your organs, over 85. We already know this from studies in alternative medicine. Conventional allopathic medicine 10, 20 years later catches up with it. Do not be satisfied if it's just normal range. That's why you want the printout. You must get the printout and look at it yourself. Your doctor will otherwise just say, no, everything was fine. Oh, that's good. I'm so glad. It's not. It's not fine. You want to know that you're in optimal range 80 to 85, and 74 would be even better. Above that, you start getting damage to your vision, your kidneys, your heart. I mean, the blood sugar is dangerous for you. Now you can get an average reading called A1C. A1C, you want it less than 5.7%. Less than 5.7%. Now, one way of bringing your blood sugar down, there are a number of natural food supplements to take. You could take cinnamon pills 3 times a day. It'll bring your blood sugar down. Not just cinnamon, but the pills, which are more concentrated form. You take alpha-lipoic acid. The German physicians prescribe alpha-lipoic acid, 400 milligrams 3 times a day. Alpha-lipoic acid. And you want to particularly take it with biotin. You take it with biotin, it facilitates, they work synergistically with each other. And most people run into blood sugar issues. So this will lower. Of course, the way to lower your blood sugar is you want to reduce carbohydrates, particularly high glycemic index carbohydrates. So a white potato, your body doesn't know the difference between a white potato and a ball of sugar. It turns right into that glucose in your blood sugar. So you don't want to have cereals, breads, white potatoes, corn, bananas, pineapple. You don't want to have that. You don't want to have rice, pasta, particularly white rice. Brown rice is a low glycemic index. It's okay. Sweet potato is okay. It's low glycemic index. You want to get a lot of fiber. So it's good for cleaning out your gastrointestinal tract, and it also slows down the absorption of the sugars, the glucose coming in. You don't want to get surges of insulin and glucose just surging into your. Now, Dr. Nirenberg's Power Sugar and Dr. Nirenberg's Sweet Day is diabetic friendly. These 5-carbon sugars are not. You don't get sugar surges. You don't get glucose surges. You don't get insulin surges. And you get all the benefits in terms of strength, endurance, muscle recovery, and energy. So you want to. It gives you an average. The A1C gives you an average reading, an average of what your average glucose level has been. Other ways to bring down your blood sugar, you want to get chromium picolinate. One of the best ones you could take is berberine. berberine, 500 milligrams at least twice a day. It's as effective as metformin, which is a prescription drug for controlling blood sugar levels, berberine. I personally take it 3 times a day. You want to get vanadyl sulfate. You want to get methionine, which is a B vitamin that's very readily absorbable. Also helps reduce the blood sugar levels. Diet's key, and exercise is key. To the extent you're exercising, the GLUT4 enzymes will bring the sugar into the muscles even without the insulin. So as I look at mine, I just had a blood test recently, June, just a few months ago. My A1C was 5.7. It was 5.9 before, so at least it's going in the right direction. I'm not happy with it. I was not taking the berberine often enough, so I stepped up my berberine. I was just taking it, maybe one a day, one every other day. So now I'm doing 2 to 3 times a day my berberine because I want to bring that down. So I write down on here some past numbers. I wrote down my last one, which was 5.9, which was over a year ago. So it came down to 5.7. So you want to know whether you're getting better or worse. So it's getting better. And the interesting thing is I'm taking a lot of sugar, power sugar. So it didn't affect my sugar actually went down. Now, an important cardiovascular marker that you have to ask the doctor for or they won't take it is homocysteine. Homocysteine. It's a protein. And if it goes up, you're more inclined to a cardiovascular event such as stroke or heart attack. And you're more inclined towards Alzheimer's. So you want to keep that homocysteine level down. Anything less than 11.4 with the lab that they use. Different labs have different number systems, but this pretty common number is 11.4. So my last one was 8.3. A year ago it was 10.2. So I brought down my homocysteine level. Now the way to reduce your homocysteine level, and make a note of this, 3 things you want to take in pill form. You want to get B12, which is also good energy. You can get it as a shot, which really energizes you, but usually you get it in a sublingual form under your tongue. And you want to get about at least 5,000 micrograms. At least 5,000 micrograms. It dissolves under your tongue. You want B6, about 100 milligrams. And you want folic acid, the main one. Folic acid, you want to get 1,000 milligrams. Now, a little controversy about the folic acid. I skip it 1 day a week. I would have driven it down further, but I was skipping it 2 days a week. Because a little controversy about the folic acid and some of the literature. Mostly it's very positive news about it. But now I want to get that 8.3 lower. I want to get it down to less than 6. So I'm taking it every day now.
Folic acid?
I'm taking the folic acid, B12 and B6 every day now. I'm skipping it twice a week. No, I'm not skipping it at all now. You could also take with something called TMG, all caps. T, M like in mother, G. Reduces homocysteine. If you don't ask your doctor to get your homocysteine level, he won't do it. A lot of times they need to be able to justify it, that you've had blood pressure problems or some cardiovascular problems. If you're really just a healthy person, they may not want to do it, but usually they will. See, so I'm keeping track of which way it's going, and we'll go over some of these others and watch some of the larger trends, but I'm just giving you the over a year's time what's happened with some of this. Now, you've got to ask your doctor for your vitamin D level. Vitamin D. I guarantee you, you're deficient. And a vitamin D deficiency is a gateway deficiency to cardiovascular disease, cancer, and diabetes, and arthritis. Vitamin D deficiency is a gateway deficiency to every major illness there is. Now, they'll tell you the normal range is 30 to 100. You want optimal. You want it to be over 50. 50 to 80 is good, but you want it over 50. Do not be satisfied if you have a 30 or a 35. You don't want that. If you don't ask him for vitamin D test, you're not going to get it. You got to ask. 90% of people are deficient, have a deficiency. And with that deficiency, you won't absorb calcium properly as well. Now, a year ago, my vitamin D level was 33. When I recently took it a few months ago, it was 44. I take 8,000 IUs a day. I recommend you take from 2 to 4,000 IUs a day, just even without your test. You should take 2 to 4,000, period. Anything under 10,000 IUs has been found to be safe. Under 10,000. I'll take about 8,000. But I was skipping 2 days a week. Now I'm not skipping it. I'm skipping it 1 day a week now. I want to bring that to over 50. So this way you're planning your health. You can actually plan these numbers, bring it to optimal range. You plan it. You say, well, I'm this way. I'm going to take this, or I'm going to stop doing that. If your blood sugar's up, so I'm going to knock off high glycemic carbs. It's a good idea to do it anyway.
So the 2,000, 4,000 IUs, is it of the
Oh,
folic
very
acid?
safe. Yeah, and it's D3. It's not just D, it's D3. Yeah, you must have that D3. You must take it. Absolutely. Of course, your body generates vitamin D when you're in the sun. But typically people are in the sun as much, and even so they're having vitamin D deficiencies. So you must take 2 to 4,000 IUs a day.
Of what? Of the vitamin D3?
D3. You must have that. Absolutely. And even with us taking as much as I did, I wasn't quite optimal. I was 44. I went from 33 to 44. Both are considered normal range. But 44, I want to be over 50 to be an optimal range. So even with how much I was taking about 8,000, but I was skipping 2 days a week. I'm not going to skip it. I was thinking, well, you want to be taking milk. When you start taking all these things, you want to take milk thistle. Milk thistle. It detoxifies your liver. When you're taking all these food supplements in these bottles like this, they're all natural foods. The science of food is medicine, but they're unnatural concentrations of the food supplement. It's unnatural concentrations. So it's a load on the liver. You want to take milk thistle, and also you want to detoxify your liver and your gallbladder with the following drink. You want to take, first thing in the morning, a cup of warm water, squeeze 1/4 a lemon in it, tablespoon of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and just a pinch of cayenne pepper. Pinch, just a little pinch of cayenne pepper. Mix it, take it first thing in the morning. You want to be detoxifying your liver. It's a hard-working organ.
What was the quantity of olive oil?
1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. It's very inexpensive, and all stores carry it. All supermarkets carry it. It's not a specialty item. Now, everybody needs to have a thyroid panel, which is T3, T4, and TSH. TSH is basically you want your active one is the T3. You want your T4 converting into your T3. But the higher TSH is, that means your thyroid is not working as well. It means your pituitary is having to work too hard to stimulate it. So my TSH a year ago was 1.95, which was an optimal range, which is 0.2 to 2, just barely an optimal range. You want to have it, they say the optimal range on this particular panel is 0.4 to 4.50. So my doctor looked at this and said, oh, that's fine, 3.91, 1.95. But now my reading was 3.91. It went up. My thyroid is not functioning quite as well. It's not optimal now, although it's normal range, 3.91. Normal range is 0.4, according to this lab, 0.4 to 4.50. Actually, optimal is 0.2 to 2, and your doctor will not know that. So mine went up. Well, I'm on Synthroid, which is a thyroxine medication, and because I have Hashimoto's disease, so my thyroid's really, I don't know if it's functioning at all. So I think so. So what I'm doing now is twice a week I'm taking an extra one. I take 112 micrograms. So twice a week I'm taking an extra 1/4 pill, stepping it up a little bit. If yours starts going up, it'll respond to iodine. Hashimoto's disease won't respond to iodine, and then you want the L-tyrosine. Maybe I'll try some L-tyrosine as well. But right now I've just stepped up my Synthroid. A natural way to do it is called Armour Thyroid, which is a desiccated pig's thyroid gland. So you get it from there. That's a good one. It's a natural one. But I'm on a Synthroid. Now, in terms of hormones, the DHEA, particularly for men, you want it up there. The normal range they have is 61 to 1636. A year ago, mine was just 57, was below normal. Now it's 104. It's low normal. I'm hesitant to take any DHEA supplement only because 5.5 years ago I had a prostate cancer, so I'm a little hesitant about taking these kind of supplements. Although probably I can because it's been over 5.5 years, but I'm not sure about doing that yet, so that's why I'm not taking it. But I'm low normal now. Now my testosterone, the normal range is 250 to 1100. My testosterone level, this is total testosterone, my total testosterone a year ago was 610, which is pretty decent. Now it's 575. It's still good, still a good level. At one point I was down to like 350. And by taking fish oil, by taking olive oil, by lifting heavy weights, you can increase their testosterone. By looking at a light when you first wake up, particularly sunlight, first thing in the morning, or a light bulb that simulates natural sunlight when you first wake up, kicks up your testosterone. Then there's certain herbs like chrysalin, tribulus. These also are known to increase testosterone levels. Tribulus does as well. But see, the total testosterone, you don't want just total testosterone. You want to know your free testosterone. Now, if a woman's testosterone goes up too high, she can be upset because she can get stuck getting hair on her face and whatnot. So she wants it to be, she doesn't want it really high. For a man, we like it high because it just gives us more strength. But you definitely want to be in a normal range, even for a woman. You just don't want it too high. But you want to get your free testosterone. That's the stuff that's really doing something. The normal range is 30 to 135. So a year ago, my free testosterone was 77. Now it's 60. So still normal, but it went down. I'm not sure. It might be that my testosterone's binding with certain substances in my blood. I'm not sure. I may look into taking some other supplements to stop that binding from happening.
What's the normal range for the free testosterone?
Well, for this particular lab, the normal range here was 30 to 135. So I'm 60, I'm fine. And then as you get older, they say you're going to have less anyhow. I don't necessarily believe that. I just think that I think men have been inactive as they've gotten older. I'm 71. Some people would be thrilled at 30 to have some of these blood work up, but I'm looking for optimal. And by training hard, a man doesn't have to have sarcopenia where he starts losing muscle mass and testosterone. By training hard, doing MME training, momentary maximal exertion, I keep my testosterone up, I keep my muscle mass up. I'm stronger and better built at 71 than I've been in my entire life. So these things are all doable. You have to get over conventional ideas of aging. You have to get over that and redefine it yourself. Don't look at your grandparents, your great-grandparents, even your parents. We know now enough. And if you want to really get more information on longevity and health, I highly recommend Life Extension, lifeextension.com. I've spent well over $100,000 on books and publications, and they're tops for integrating allopathic and alternative medicine. Now, I want to tell you something you have to ask your doctor for. You must ask them for your C-reactive protein. CRP, C-reactive protein. You must get that number every time. It's
See, I
a-
never do. I haven't done.
yeah, no, most people don't get it because you don't ask, the doctor won't get it. Unless he's heavily into alternative medicine. They won't get it. Now, it's a very good general inflammatory marker. It tells you what the inflammation state of your body is. All diseases, the major diseases start with a state of inflammation. Chronic inflammation. Diabetes does, cardiovascular disease does, cancer does, arthritis. All inflammatory diseases all start with chronic. If you get a bruise or a wound, you're going to get some inflammation as the white blood cells and come in to help heal it and get rid of antibodies and so forth, the antigens, antibodies, all that accumulation. So that's an acute inflammation. But if it's chronic, it's there a month, 3 months, a year, you're in trouble. You don't want that number up. You want to get as low as you can.
And what's the number for that? That's CRP, or you don't?
Or C-reactive protein. I'm going to tell you mine. So that one, with this particular lab, you want it less than 0.8. Less than 0.8. Now, over a year ago, mine was less than 0.2, which was excellent. Now it went to less than 0.1. And I'm going to tell you natural substances to take to bring down your homocysteine level, to bring down your C-reactive protein. One of the best ones is curcumin. Curcumin, C-U-R-C-U-M-I-N. Curcumin. It's a derivative of curry that the Indians put on their food. Curcumin. And it's good if you take the curcumin with ginger and garlic. You can get them in pills. That combination is very synergistic and excellent for you. Another is called Devil's Claw. Devil's Claw. Malic acid. Malic acid. These are just some, there are many of them. I'm just giving you some of the really outstanding ones. Let me stop for a moment. Is there any comments or questions to this point? I'm giving you a lot of information. Any comments or questions to this point?
With the free testosterone, I missed what that was important for.
Well, that's what gives you your strength. Actually, your testosterone is good for cardiovascular health. Free testosterone and your testosterone good for cardiovascular health. Also for strength. And keep in mind, when you have your testosterone, you have strength, you can build up muscle mass. When you build up muscle mass, that's what burns up fat. Muscle burns fat. Muscle raises your metabolism, and it's burning up calories even when you sleep. Again, a man wants to get that really at the high normal, preferably. A woman wants to keep it not too high because she doesn't want some of the masculine characteristics such as hair growing on her face and so forth. Now, one measure of estrogen is estradiol. Estradiol. They were at less than 39. Mine was 15. Particularly for men, we don't want to have high estrogen levels, so mine was a 15, well below the 39 level. Now, for me, since I had a prostatectomy and my prostate removed 5.5 years ago because I had prostate cancer, I want my PSA less than 1. I want it 0. Thank God. I get that tested regularly. It's less than 0.1, which is as close as they can measure to 0. So that's the one that I'm always very eager to see, first of all. I make sure that's down. So that means that they got all the cancer out, what's all contained within the prostate gland.
The higher the more likely you are to have.
Oh, wow. For me, with no prostate, anything going up is a problem. But men want to keep that as low as possible. Now, you can get if a man has his prostate gland, he's riding a bicycle, that pressure on the prostate can raise the PSA. It can give a false positive. A man can have a normal PSA. 30% of men with prostate cancer have a normal PSA. So they need to get a PSA from the blood test and a digital where the doctor puts his finger up the anus and feels the prostate gland. That's how mine was found. My PSA was normal. But we didn't catch it that it was going up. That's why I emphasize you want to track it if it's going up. was still normal range, was going up. But the doctor felt that little lump. We did a biopsy, it tested positive. So, but it was my Gleason score was like a 7, but there's two numbers, a 3 and a 4, a 4 and a 3. Mine was the better combination, so it was aggressive, but not super aggressive. I had a moderate amount of the cancer in there. Got it out, it hadn't spread. With negative margins when they took out the prostate, which is good. It was none of my lymph nodes, none of the seminal vesicles. So the thing you don't want to have happen is for it to metastasize into the bone and so forth, which it didn't.
You still have to be tested though?
I get tested. I used to do it three times a year, and then I did it twice a year, and I do it once a year. Yeah, and the likelihood is very, very slim that there's any of those cells floating around now. And then what I do is to prevent it and to make sure it doesn't come back. Men want to take, and it's a good food for everybody, pomegranate. Pomegranate is the king of the fruits. Pomegranate. So just cut it and start eating it with the pectin, with the white and the red, the white, everything. It's good for the gums, good for everything. Or some stores like Trader Joe's, they scoop it out for you and you eat it that way. You spit out the seeds, or you can swallow it some of the time. Or you can get pomegranate juice, preferably organic pomegranate juice. What it'll do is it'll actually shrink a prostate cancer and actually slow down its spreading. And also it'll do the same thing for other cancers. So pomegranate plus has such high antioxidants, that's king of the fruits. So I get, and plus you get it in pill form. I have it in a pill from Life Extension. It's the full spectrum pomegranate. It has the extract from the fruit, the seed, and the flower. So I get that from Life Extension. And so I want to make sure nothing even latent ever manifests if there's any prostate cancer cells around, which apparently they're not. But this is what I want to do to help control cancer, period. Pomegranate, absolute king. But for a man to prevent prostate cancer, he wants to take pomegranate. He wants cooked tomatoes. Believe it or not, cooked tomatoes have more lycopene than raw tomato. So he wants lycopene. He wants to eat Brazil nuts, which has selenium. Selenium also helps prevent prostate cancer, but also helps with maintaining the integrity of cell membranes. Cell membrane damage is really dangerous, just like DNA damage. You want to keep those cell membranes functioning well so oxygen and nutrients can pass through in a maximum efficient and healthy way. Ginger also helps with protecting cell membrane integrity. Ginger is very good for that. But so he wants to have Brazil nuts. The other one to have also is pumpkin seeds. Of course, nuts in general, you're getting your protein, you're getting your omegas, but the pumpkin seed has the zinc. And zinc actually helps with testosterone production. It's another one to take, particularly if you have a deficiency of zinc. Your testosterone will go low. So the first thing you want to do is either take a zinc capsule, 30 to 50 milligrams. You don't want to get over 100 milligrams of zinc supplements because it becomes toxic. So 30 to 50 milligrams is a capsule. Capsule is always better than tablets. A gel or a capsule are best. But the zinc, if you have a deficiency, your immune system will be compromised. You're more prone to getting colds or flus. As a matter of fact, if you have a cold or flu, supplement with zinc, it'll cut down how long it lasts by about half. About 30 to 50 milligrams a day of zinc. Any comments or questions at this point? I'm giving you a lot of information. You want to keep reviewing what I'm telling you, because when you see your doctor, you really want to talk to him. And every doctor should be giving out this DVD. You don't want to hear everything's fine and you don't get a copy of this. You must have the attitude that you take responsibility for your health. It's not the doctor's responsibility. It's yours. He'll order the tests. If you need a surgery, he's great at that, or she's great at that, wonderful at doing certain things. If you have an infection that's not responsive to natural ways, those antibiotics are great. So certain things that can be given to you, and they're great at it. But really the best thing is prevention and also knowing the natural approaches and understanding these numbers. The one takeaway message today is your health is your responsibility. It is not your doctor's responsibility. It's not your doctor's life. It's not your doctor's body. And in my opinion, every doctor should post his or her blood work on the wall. Because if his isn't looking good, you might wonder if you're going to the right person. And they have their MD posted, they should post their personal blood workup. In my opinion. I'm thinking of doing that on my blood workup. I'm a psychologist, but I'm advocating good health. I think I will post it. Of course, most people don't know what to look for, so it won't mean anything to most people. Most people need to watch this DVD. Again, we're making a distinction between normal range and optimal. What do you think of that distinction between normal range and optimal, Flora?
I never realized that there was an optimal until you told us about it.
And you've seen many doctors in your lifetime, haven't you? Has any doctor ever mentioned that to you?
No. See, I do this. I collect my blood work too.
But no doctor in all the years that you've been around a while.
I haven't done it. I mean, I'm just doing it now.
You're doing what now?
Collecting my
You
blood
start-
samples.
since-
I just
yeah,
started,
you just
not
started
too long
collecting,
ago, maybe
yeah.
a year ago or so,
Yeah.
you know.
But no doctor's ever
But they
told
always
you.
tell you normal.
What about yourself? What about your experience? What do you think of the distinction between optimal and normal range?
Obviously, you want to strive for optimal.
Right.
You know, and you're right that doctors don't advocate that.
No doctor ever told you. And I'm sure 99.9% of you watching have never heard of the distinction between normal range and optimal. I'm positive. Life extension emphasizes it. Alternative medicine does. But you need to really look into your optimal range. Now, have you ever saved any of your printouts? Did you ever
I
get
have
them?
just a couple.
You have a couple of them. Did you ask for them or the doctor gave it to you?
They just handed them to me.
And did they go over it with you?
No,
Just handed it to you and said it's
just so
fine?
everything looks good. You can
That's
have a
it.
copy for your
Yeah.
records. Yeah.
Well, that's a lot. They gave it to you. That's a lot.
Yeah, I was going to
'Cause
say, because they usually don't if you don't ask for
If you
them.
don't, yeah, it was just a couple of.
You've got some good doctors at least gave it to you. But did you save them?
I'm sure there's somewhere in my records.
You don't know where they are. You need to put it in a safe spot, in a file or a special spot, so you can refer to it in case there are any changes, because changes are very meaningful. So neither of you have ever heard of optimal range, never heard of the distinction. I know those of you watching have never heard of the distinction. And perhaps that's malpractice. Now, have you ever had a vitamin D test? No.
Not that I'm aware of.
You never had a vitamin D test. You're not aware of it. You're probably deficient. Most of you watching on DVD or listening on CD, you're probably deficient in vitamin D. You need at least 2,000 to 4,000 IUs a day, at least. Now, if you ask your doctor to measure it, he'll do it. But you thought your doctor knows what he's doing and he's just going to do it automatically, didn't you? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the assumption.
The assumption is he's going to do everything I need. So what are you saying? What saying? What I think most people do. I'll let you, doctor, take responsibility for my life. Is that true for you, Flora?
Yes.
I don't want the responsibility, doc. You're the expert. You went to school. You take responsibility for my life. Well, now you're finding out. I don't think he may not even take responsibility for his life. I don't know that MDs live any longer than their patients. I don't think they do. I don't think they're overall healthier than their patients. I think their cancer rate and heart attack rates are probably the same as their patient overall. So do you want to put your life in somebody's hands whose health himself isn't that great? Do you, Flora?
No.
How about yourself? Now, there's some great doctors. I mean, great. If you need surgery, boy, you sure don't want to come to me. You want to go to that surgeon. They're incredible. Incredible. And if you need certain medications, they'll know the ones to do it, not me. But in terms of really optimal health, resurging, in terms of longevity, anti-aging, which I call resurging, the new science of energy, power, and longevity, you really want to pay attention to optimal health, optimal numbers. So for each of you, I want you to take the attitude, your health and even your blood workup is in your hands. Do not turn over the responsibility to anybody else. And your doctor will not tell you the natural supplements to take to change these numbers. They'll say, well, you have a little problem here, your vitamin D is low, or your homocysteine, your C-reactive protein's high. They're not going to tell you to take curcumin, I guarantee it, unless he's into alternative medicine. He's not going to tell you to take malic acid or devil's claw or grapeseed extract or quercetin or resveratrol. They're not going to tell you to take it. Now, they may have some medications, but what they will be able to do is, if you get a heart attack, they'll be able to do the surgery to keep you alive. That's good. I had a heart attack 12 years ago. Put some stent in. Then I had another artery closing, which wasn't from diet or exercise. I was going through stress at the time. I think that closed that artery. So I had a stent put in there. That's great. I can't put in stents. They know how to do it. So you keep going, they'll put a stent in for you, or they'll do open heart surgery for you. Or your vitamin D deficiency, you develop a cancer, they'll take out the tumor and they'll give you the chemo and the radiation. God bless them. But they didn't tell you, here's what you need to do to help prevent that now. Did they? Did they for you, Flora?
No.
Yeah, you want to be eating that onions for the quercetin. You want the garlic, which is an incredible anti-inflammatory. Kills off every pathogens. Garlic will kill off viruses. It'll kill off yeast. It'll kill off harmful bacteria. And you definitely, your first line of defense in your immune system is your gut. You want to have, we live in harmony with microorganisms, bacteria, Acidophilus, Bifidus, these are some of them. You want to take yogurt. And if you get antibiotics, you really want that yogurt because it kills off everything living inside of you, all those good microorganisms and bad. See, when you have the healthy ones, the Bifidus, the Acidophilus, it'll crowd out the harmful bacteria from getting a hold. They won't be able to get a hold in there. All right, now let's go on from there. Now you want to know cholesterol. Everybody knows about you want cholesterol. If your cholesterol goes high, your doctor's going to give you a statin drug. Probably the best of the statin drugs is Crestor. Lipitor is pretty good, but Crestor is even better because it stops the plaque building up, may even help reverse it. I'm on 10 milligrams. So my cholesterol right now is 144. You want it less than 200. Mine's 144. You want to know your total cholesterol. Your doctor will do that. You don't have to tell him to get your cholesterol. He will do it. What he won't tell you is, if it's too low, like 90, 100, it might be all right. 110 might be all right, but you might be more prone to cancer as well. You need cholesterol to live. So getting down too low could be problematic. 144, I'm happy with it. Now your good cholesterol, your HDL, you want that, the higher the better. You want it over 40 for men, over 50 for women. You want it high. Now, there's an inverse relationship between triglycerides and you want to get your triglycerides. You must get your triglycerides, the fatty substances floating in your bloodstream. The higher your triglycerides, typically the lower your HDL. Your HDL will actually take your cholesterol out into the liver, will get rid of the cholesterol. Now, my HDL was only 38 a year ago, it's less than 40. I've had as high as 56. The way to raise it is niacin. Niacin will raise your HDL and lower triglycerides. Niacin. You want slow release niacin. You take 500 milligrams 2 to 3 times a day. It'll start raising your HDL. The other one is you want fish oil to lower your triglycerides. I take about 9,000 milligrams a day in divided dosages, but you want to get at least 6,000 milligrams a day, 2-3 times a day. It's good for bringing down triglycerides, good for your joints, and lowers depression. Some people call it their happy pill. Fish oil. So my HDL went down. So I'm stepping up my niacin now. 500 milligram slow niacin release. Now, sometimes you get a flush from it. Your face gets all red and flushed. Don't worry about that. But once in a while, I'll break out in a rash from it. So then I get off it for a while. I take it every other day because I'll end up with a rash. You probably won't. It could raise your enzymes out of your liver because it taxes the liver, so you need to get blood tests every 3 or 4 months if you're taking niacin. But one thing you should do is you want to detoxify your liver when you take it by taking the milk thistle. Milk thistle, especially if you're on the niacin, which is known to tax your liver. You want to take milk thistle plus that drink of the hot water in the morning with the pinch of cayenne pepper, a tablespoon of olive oil, and then 1/4 fresh lemon squeezed into it. Now my triglycerides, a year ago was 160, it went up to 188. And I know it's because I'm not taking enough fish oil, so I've stepped my fish oil from about 6,000 to close to 9,000 milligrams a day. And I was skipping 2 days a week before, now I'm taking it 7 days a week. Yeah, I'm taking 7 days a week because I really, 3 months I want to see that number really down. I want those triglycerides down. And then my HDL will come up. Now, your cholesterol is 2 types. There's the fluffy large particles and there's the dense particles. You can ask your doctor to measure it in the blood test. You want the large fluffy particles. I used to have the large fluffy particles, but as far as I can tell now, I've got the smaller dense ones. I don't know what happened. Maybe because my HDL went down or maybe I wasn't getting enough fish oil. I'm not sure. So you want to know the particle size. You don't want to know just your cholesterol. You want to know the particle size. You want to know your particle size. If it's the small, denser type, it's more problematic. If it's the large, puffy type, it's much safer. And believe me, I know your doctors never ordered that distinction. Did they ever do that for you, Flora? Did they ever do that for you? No. You know, and I'm sure most of you, 99.9% of you, your doctor never did that for you. You want to know the particle size. You don't want to just know your cholesterol. You want to know your good cholesterol, your high-density lipoproteins, HDL, because that's what clears out the your cholesterol, brings it into the liver. Now, some natural ways of reducing your cholesterol are plant sterols. Pantethine, which is a B vitamin, 900 milligrams in divided dosages, 300, 300, 300 of pantethine. Another one is red rice yeast. Will lower your cholesterol. These are some natural ways of lowering it. Plant sterols, pantethine, red rice yeast. These are just some of them. Pycnogenol is just an overall good one for helping to control blood sugar. It's made from the pine bark, French maritime pine bark, and it's good for the blood sugar, good for triglycerides, good for cholesterol control. So I didn't even get to go over all the others. I will tell you this, when I was looking over this, my TSH years ago was up to 38, and I wasn't paying attention to it. A friend of mine, I was just getting his blood test. I had access to a lab, but I was getting it, and I didn't pay close attention to it. And I think that's why I had a heart attack 12 years ago. Because if your thyroid's not functioning properly, your cholesterol will go up, your triglycerides, everything will be out of whack. All you're reading. If you're having a bad lipid panel, one possible culprit could be your thyroid gland. So you want your thyroid, you want your TSH in the optimal range of 0.2 to 2. You really want to know your thyroid functioning because it could be the whole problem. So make sure your doctor's always getting you a thyroid panel. If your thyroid's not working, you can lose hair, you're going to gain weight, you can get depressed, you can be tired, you can have a lot of symptoms. So you really want your thyroid working well, you want your adrenals working well. Any comments? Of course, I've given you a lot of material. Flora, how was this seminar for you? How
Very
was
informative. Very good.
You learned some new things?
Very much so.
You took a lot of notes?
Yes, I did.
Now, truthfully, you're going to talk to your doctor about these measures?
Well, I'm getting my blood.
Well, I've been talking to you about it, but he's not getting all of these things, is he?
No.
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 Are you going to talk to him about it or not?
Yeah. Yeah,
Truthfully,
I
you
will.
are, yeah.
Yeah.
What about yourself? How was the seminar for you with this information?
I agree with Flora, very informative. things that you don't think about when you're in the doctor's office.
Yes.
And they don't really encourage you to ask too many questions either.
Kind of rush you out of the door.
Yeah,
So you took a lot of notes?
I did.
Now, are you going to talk to your doctor about these measurements?
Yes, I am, definitely.
Good.
And
Now-
also encourage my family to do the same when they have their.
Oh, you want to pass this knowledge to your loved ones. You want this going to your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, right down the line. Not only the measurements to take from your blood workup, but what to do about it. What natural things you can do before you have to go on allopathic medicine that has a lot of toxic effects to it. What natural things can you do? One of the best things you can do for yourself, really truthfully, is eating organic apples once or twice a day. That apple pectin, you want it with the skin, that helps control your cholesterol, your triglycerides, blood sugar. I mean, it's just one of the miracle fruits. I want to thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to share this vital knowledge with you. So I'm truly grateful to those of you in the room, those watching on DVD, and those listening on CD. Thank you.